Avanachari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopi Janavallabha Radha Gopi Vallabh Radhe Jaya Radha Gopi Janavallabha Radha Gopi Janavallabha Radhe Jaya Nitai Patita Pavan Gaura Hari Jaya Nitai Patita Pavan Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Jaya Nitai Patita Pavan Gaura Hari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् Hare Krishna. I'll share my screen. 329.41. Roji 329.41. Perfect. Wonderful. So hope you are able to see the screen. That is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 41. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yadvanaspatayo bhita. Lataschau sadi bisaha. Swe swe kale bi grananti. Pushpani cha falani cha. Yadvanaspatayo bhita. Lataschau sadi bihi saha. Swe swe kale bi grananti. Pushpani cha falani cha. Yadvanaspatayo bhita. Lataschau sadibihi saha. Swe swe kale bi gannanti. Pushpani cha falani cha. Anyone would like to recite?
Yeah, yes. Vanaspatayo bhita.
Yadvanaspatayo bhita. Lataschau sadibihi saha. Swe swe kale bi grananti. Pushpani cha falani cha. Wonderful. We'll read word by word translation. Yet because of whom, Vana pataya, the trees, Bitaha, fearful, Lataha, creepers, Cha, and Aushadibihi, herbs, Saha, with Swe Swe Kale, each in its own season, Abhigrananti, bear, Pushpani, flowers, Cha, and Falani, fruits, Cha, also. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers blossom and fructify, each in its own season. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As the sun rises and sets, the seasonal changes ensue at their appointed time by the Superintendent of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the seasonal plants, flowers, herbs, and trees all grow under the direction of Supreme Lord. It is not that the plants grow automatically without any cause, as the atheistic people say. Rather, they grow in pursuance of the supreme order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in the Vedic literature that the Lord's diverse energy are working so nicely that it appears that everything is being done automatically. I'll read the translation again. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers blossom and fructify, each in its own season. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak today or discuss this wonderful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday, His Grace Rohini Nandan Prabhu gave a wonderful class, specifically mentioning this point though there is a fear factor, but the atheistic mentality is there in the people who wants to show I'm not fearful. I just want to do my I want to mimic God. I want to replicate God. I want to be God. That's the atheistic mentality. So I was thinking on this verse. Very interestingly, in the translation, it is mentioned that everything happens because of the fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the purport, Prabhupada is not using a fear word at all. And he is actually mentioning it is happening because of the order of the Supreme. This is very interesting. So, what is fear? I was thinking about His Grace Shubha Vilas Prabhu was here. Um, he didn't mention it here, but I hear his classes and he mentioned one time that Ravana was so cruel, he collected so many curses to deprive the position of devatas. What he did is all the planets, they were actually on the staircase. They were actually laid down on the staircase, and Ravana would climb on them to go to his chair, to go to his throne. So one time Narada Muni came, and Narada Muni started joking. Shani Dev is there, and he was telling him, what are you doing here, man? Like, and then he was talking about the wrath of Ravana. And then he was telling, Narada Muni is telling, hey, if you glance at someone, his life is destroyed. Yeah, for me to glance, but I'm laying on my back. So Ravana is climbing on my back. So Narada Muni goes to Ravana and tells him, hey, there is no fun in climbing on the back. You should be climbing on their belly. And then he turns over them, and that's how Shani Dev glances upon him. That's how he acquires more curse based on that. Or when we see in Srimad Bhagavatam about Hiranyakashipu, the Devatas are fearful, the sun is fearful, everything is fearful, just thinking that, if Hiranyakashipu does something, that is actually the other version of fear. But when the fear is mentioned here, it is actually mentioned from the perspective of love. Like, this is Damodar month going on. Krishna, when he's being chased by Yashoda Maya, she's holding the stick. She's running behind him. So is he fearful? Yes, but at the same time, no. Because Krishna is a fear personified. How can he be fearful? But out of love and reciprocation, he is showing the symptoms of fear. Right? So I'll stop sharing my screen so that we can hear. So here, Krishna, when we talk about, and when Krishna's nature is concerned about, they are doing it out of love for Krishna. Very interestingly, when His Grace Vrajabihari Prabhu came this time, he gave a lot of enlightened talk. At least my life has changed drastically. He mentioned multiple points. I would not go there, but one point which he mentioned is that I like to go for a walk. I like to be in nature. And before coming to Krishna, even while came to Krishna consciousness, I had a lot of love for nature. And I was thinking, no, maybe this is Jai Shri Radha Gopi Janal Bhagwan ki jai, Nitai Patita Pawan Gaurari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And I curved that, singing that, thinking that, that's a distraction. I should not be thinking about the nature. I should have one goal. But he interestingly brought in this point. Nature has such an important point. Nature is such an important part in our life to actually heal ourselves. This is one of the difficulty during the fall and then winter, is that because you don't get to see nature, and that's why people become more stressed out, because there is no exposure to nature. You hardly see the tree leaves and all that stuff, and that's very important. So I was seeing some of this reciprocation between the material nature or nature and Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically Canto 10. And I thought this is a wonderful way of realizing how we should also appreciate nature. So this is happening in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 22. This is just before Krishna and Balramji meeting Brahmana's wives. Just before. So this is text 31 and 32. Lord Krishna said, I'm just reading the translation from Srimad Bhagavatam. O Stoka Krishna, O Amshu, O Sridama, Subala, and Arjuna, O Vishala, O Rishabha, O Ojasvi, Devaprastha, and Varutapa. Just see these greatly fortunate trees whose lives are completely dedicated to the benefit of others. Even while tolerating the wind, rain, heat, and snow, they protect us from these elements. So Krishna is actually glorifying the trees. And then the next one he say, just see how these trees are maintaining every living entity. Their birth is successful. Their behavior is just like that of a great personalities. For anyone who asks anything from the tree, never goes away disappointed. Third one, these trees fulfill one's desires with their leaves, flowers, and fruits, and their shades, roots, bark, and wood, and also with their fragrance, sap, ashes, pulp, and shoots. Last one. Thus, moving among the trees whose branches were bent low by their abundance of twigs, fruits, and flowers and leaves, Lord Krishna came to the Yamuna river. So, Krishna is actually glorifying his nature. Krishna is glorifying trees here, and there'll be further explanation which we'll talk about, is trying to glorify his own creation. Prabhupada was once asked, Prabhupada, do you see this? This nature is so beautiful. The sunset is so beautiful. Prabhupada said, if Krishna's creation is so wonderful, how wonderful Krishna would be, because he's a creator. What happens is, that's my own few cents here. What happens is when we come in the material world and when we come to a spiritual life, we lack to realize the creation of Krishna, which is very, very important to appreciate the nature of Krishna. So when we see Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is specifically chapter 10, is glorifying about the Vibhuti Yoga, is specifically mentioning about Krishna's Vibhutis. And Krishna is identifying individual leaders in different areas, like whether it is animal, whether it's plants, whether are mountains and all. He is identifying those and saying, I am that. Which means what? The nature of Krishna, though it is that we talked about three energy, internal energy, external energy, and Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tathastha Shakti, or marginal energy. So though it is marginal energy, but it is dear to Krishna. And we will see actually this is so Krishna being glorified. So similar thing which happens in Canto 10, and we recite Gopi Geet and all that stuff. So when Krishna was being surged upon, they recognized the Vrajavadus saying that, the tree is bending, and that's how they realized Krishna must have passed from here. That's why this tree is bending to offer flowers to Krishna. Our whole existence is around as an offering to Krishna. What a wonderful festival we had since yesterday evening. Everybody was dancing, everybody was chanting, and that ecstasy continued this morning. I just came, there were devotees like Nandan Prabhu and many other devotees who were there for an entire night. And there were a lot of devotees who came much earlier in the morning, like 3 o'clock, or even before that. It's so amazing. This is exactly what Krishna is glorifying here. The devotees, their whole existence around that is around Krishna. I want to offer my service to Krishna. I want to offer my existence to Krishna. That's the whole idea. That is the perfection of life. Even living in the material world, His Grace Shyam Kishore Prabhu mentions multiple times about the glorification of service in connection with Krishna, spiritual master, and Vaishnavas. So that's a very important segment which is being discussed. Now, this chapter I felt is very, very close knit with the verse we were reading together. So I'm going to read some of this translation from this is Canto 10, chapter 20. This is probably the best chapter in that, which is rainy and autumn season in Vrindavan. Whenever we talk about Krishna, whenever we talk about devotional service, spirituality, the Vrajabhumi, Vrindavan manifests right there. Like, sorry for a detour here. When Vrajabihari Prabhu came here, he gave a class in Troy. on Chaitanya Leela. Very beautiful class. And he mentioned one point which is which I strongly remember. He said, wherever devotees are chanting, dancing, and praying, Lord Chaitanya is personally there. Lord Chaitanya is personally there. And he quoted many, many examples from different corners of Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. Right? So, again, coming back to Vrajabhumi, everything in our devotional service is connected to Krishna. And this is one thing which Shyam Kishore Prabhu also mentioned. Why, when Vrindavan Vasis, Krishna is leaving, why they are not going to Mathura to see him? Why they are not going to Dwarka to see him? If they are in so much of love for Krishna, they could do that. Because they don't see Krishna different from Vrindavan. So they don't want to leave Vrindavan. Right? They experience Krishna there in Vrindavan, but they are still feeling the separation. Like when Uddhava came to actually console Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya, and he's trying to speak about the Jnana philosophy. And he is telling Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, the same Krishna is there within your heart and my heart. Why are you crying? He doesn't realize that they are at the highest perfection of spirituality. They are at the platform of prema. He can't understand that. Though he is living with Krishna, he's sleeping side by side to Krishna, but he lacked to realize, and that is why he was the chosen one to be sent to Vrindavan. Because Krishna wanted him to realize what is the prema of Rajavasis. And when he appears there and he speaks about that, Yashoda Mai says, what are you talking about? I don't understand all this philosophy. Same way, when we talk about the chapter which we talked about Brahmanas, Patnis, the Brahmanas were very highly qualified. When they were approached by Gopa saying that, Krishna and Balaram are here. You're offering the yagya, you can offer this food to them. But they don't even respond. They are so caught up in that. So that Brahmana mentality is within our heart also. Even when we come to devotional service, we try to be mechanical. We just try to do things for the sake of doing. At least I do that way. I have to be reminded. We have to be reminded about saying that why I'm doing, what am I doing? Even while I'm chanting, whether I'm doing kirtan, whether I'm doing seva, whatever is needed, is important to actually realize the goal, which is some Siddhi Hari Toshanam. We are doing everything for the pleasure of Lord Hari. So, coming back to this chapter, which is rainy and autumn season in Vrindavan. Now, this is very, very meditating actually. This chapter has a potency. Of course, every verse in Srimad Bhagavatam has a potency to take us to the spiritual world. But this actually gives us an experience of how does the Vrajabhumi look like? How is Vrajabhumi, which is beyond our eyes? We can't perceive that. Like we went to Vrindavan this June, it was extremely hot. And when I read this chapter or when I hear classes about the summer pastimes in Vrindavan or winter pastime, they are way different. You don't even feel like that. Like Srimati Radharani is asking Krishna, let's go to Yamuna, because Yamuna is cold during the summer and during the winter season it is hot. It is warm. Very interesting. Everything in manifestation to Vraja, actually entire material world, is for only one thing. How can we give pleasure to Radha Krishna? So this is the verse which mentions, then the rainy season began. This is after Krishna swallowed the fire. And this is just after that. Then the rainy season began, giving life and sustenance to all living beings. The sky began to rumble with thunder and lightning flashed on the horizon. Next. The sky was then covered by dense blue clouds, accompanied by lightning and thunder. Thus, the sky and its natural illumination were covered in the same way that the spirit soul is covered by the three modes of material nature. Next, with its rays, the sun had for 8 months, this is very beautiful words, drunk up the earth's wealth in the form of water. Now that the proper time had arrived, the sun began releasing that accumulated wealth. This is beautiful, very beautiful, because we'll see. I'll pause here and we'll just read this, because how the other living entities are responding, that's very important. The earth had been emaciated by the summer heat, but she became fully nourished again when moistened by the god of the rain. Thus, the earth was like a person whose body has been emaciated by austerities undergone for a material purpose, but who again becomes fully nourished when he achieves the fruit of the austerities. Next, in the evening, twilight during the rainy season, the darkness allowed the glowworms, but not the stars to shine forth. Next, the frogs who had all along been lying silent suddenly began croaking when they heard the rumbling of rainy clouds. Next, the newly grown grass made the earth emerald green. The Indragopa insect added a reddish hue, and white mushroom added further color and circles of shade. Thus, the earth appeared like a person who has suddenly become rich. All the creatures of the land and water took advantage of the newly fallen rainwater. Their forms became attractive and pleasing, just as the devotee becomes beautiful by engaging in the service of Supreme Lord. Amazing. Just as the devotees whose minds are absorbed in the personality of Godhead remain peaceful even when attacked by all sort of danger, the mountains in the rainy season were not at all disturbed by the repeated striking of rain-bearing clouds. When the curved bow of Indra, the rainbow, appeared in the sky, which had the quality of thundering sound, it was like ordinary bows because it was unlike ordinary bows because it did not rest upon a string. Next, during the rainy season, the moon was prevented from appearing directly by covering the clouds, which were themselves illuminated by moon's rays. The peacocks became festive and cried out a joyful greeting when they saw the clouds arrive. Next, the trees had grown thin and dry, but after they drank the newly fallen rainwater through their feet, their various bodily features blossomed. The cranes continued dwelling on the shores of the lakes, although the shores were agitated during the rainy season. When the Vrindavan forest had thus become resplendent, filled with ripe dates and jambu fruits, Lord Krishna, surrounded by his cows and cowherd boys, and boyfriends and accompanied by Sri Balram entered that forest to enjoy. The cows had to move slowly because of their weighty milk bags, but they quickly ran to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as soon as he called them. When it rained, the Lord would sometimes enter the cave or the hollow of a tree or play and to eat roots and fruits. Thus, observing the beauty and opulence of Vrindavan's rainy season, a, a perennial source of great happiness, the Lord offered all respect to that season, which was expanded from his own internal potency. Very important, very connected to the verse we were talking about. While Lord Ram and Lord Keshava were thus dwelling in the Vrindavan, the fall season arrived. When the sky is cloudless, the water clear, the wind gentle. The autumn season, which regenerated the lotus flower, also restored the various bodies of water to their original purity. The clouds, having given up all they possess, shone forth with purified effulgence. Gradually, the different areas of land gave up their muddy condition and the plants grew past their unripe stage. With the arrival of autumn, the ocean and the lakes became silent, their waters still. The autumn moon relieved all creatures of suffering caused by sun's rays. Free of clouds and filled with clearly visible stars, the autumn sky shone brilliantly. The full moon shone in the sky surrounded by stars, just as Sri Krishna, the Lord of the Yadu dynasty, shone brilliantly on the earth, surrounded by all Rishnis. This is very important. Few more on that. Here, this is another aspect of Vrajavasi is actually glorifying the different living entities in Vraja. So they are actually saying, oh friend, Vrindavan is spreading the glories of earth, having obtained the treasure of the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Devaki. The peacocks dance madly when they hear Govinda's flute, and when others creatures see them from the hilltop, they all become stunned. Blessed are these foolish deer, because they have approached Maharaj Nanda's son, who is gorgeously dressed and is playing on his flute. This is specifically the chapter Venugit. Amazing chapter. What happens? Everything just gets melted when Krishna plays his flute. And it's mentioned they take Govinda with themselves through their tear-filled eyes and embrace him within their hearts. O mother, in this forest, all the birds have risen onto the beautiful branches of the tree to see Krishna. With closed eyes, they are simply listening in silence to the sweet vibration of their flute, of his flute, and they are not attracted by any other sound. Surely these birds are on the same level as the great sages. Last one. When the rivers hear the flute song of Krishna, their mind begins to desire him. And thus the flow of their current is broken, and their waters are agitated, moving around in whirlpools. They then, with the arms of their waves of river, embrace Murari's lotus feet, and holding on them present offering of lotus flowers. So meditating. Wonderful verses actually glorifying how everything is offered as a service to Krishna. We know when Krishna appeared and then Vasudeva was asked, saying that you take Krishna to the other side, to Ananda Maharaj. And when Krishna was being taken, Yamuna was ecstatic. She wanted to touch Krishna's lotus feet. Balramji wanted to offer service to him. Right? So the point, coming back to this verse we have been talking about, is talking about when we talk about the fear, when we talk about out of fear of Supreme Person, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers blossom and fructify in each in its own season, right? They are only looking to serve. How can we serve? So apparently it is looking like they are offering their service out of fear, but it is offered with love. When we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there at I think Srivas Thakur's house. Prabhuji, feel free to correct me on that. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, go and get the Kadamba flower. And they said, Kadamba flowers don't grow in Jagannath Puri. So they say you go outside. And in the tree, they actually saw there were Kadamba flowers. Is that right, Prabhu? Kadamba flower or Malati flowers? Kadamba flower only, right? Kadamba flower. And they were surprised, right? Krishna.
Damanaka flowers.
Damanaka flower. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. I was just thinking about it. Thank you. Damanaka flower. And they actually immediately grew up. We were just, Yugal Kishore Prabhu was yesterday mentioning that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just put the pen, and it grew into a tree. That Mother Nature is waiting to serve Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya actually went to Jarikhanda forest, that's another scene. You know, everything, every animal, they are in ecstasy seeing Lord Chaitanya. They are just ecstatic seeing Lord Chaitanya. When Nityanand Prabhu is jumping in Ganga, he is jumping on crocodile. You know, everybody is amazed. You know, how are you doing that? But the crocodile, he will open the mouth of crocodile and he will say, chant Hare Krishna. And they would do it. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu, coming back to Rajabihari Prabhu's class, which we talked about, they are here to offer us everything. But what we need is, we need that mood of this nature, material nature, which apparently is, it is based on Bhagavad Gita, it says it's inferior. But because that inferior nature is serving Krishna, it is superior. Right? And gopis are glorifying. Gopis are glorifying bumblebees. Gopis are glorifying that tree from which, the bamboo tree from where the flute is created. They are saying how fortunate is that bamboo tree. You know, and this is very beautiful reciprocation. I think this is mentioned in Indradhana Maharaj's class. When Krishna is playing the flute, the bamboo tree is so happy, thinking about the future, thinking about the fortune of their child who is actually a flute, and they are completely ecstatic seeing Krishna. When Krishna actually walks in the Vrajabhumi, even in the night, there are different kind of lotus flowers which grew up. Whenever Krishna grew, just to keep his feet are already like lotus soft, but they don't want that to be affected by stones and anything. So what happens is, they actually grow up. Then whenever Krishna puts a feet on that day, Krishna puts a feet on the lotus flower. And that's how lotus flower thinks that my life is perfect. My life is perfect. That is how they are thinking. Mother Yamuna, we just read in the last verse, she is confused. Where do I flow? And she is just, my whole existence is around how can I serve my Supreme Lord? How can I serve Srimati Radharani? They are just thinking about that. So what does it mean to actually be, to understand these pastimes, to penetrate the thought, to penetrate these ideas, that I have to develop that mood. Like one time, one of the class which I was hearing from His Holiness Radhanand Maharaj, he was talking about one devotee. He always wants to go to Vraja because he is so eager, and that's why I tell him you shouldn't go to Vrindavan. Right? That mood of separation to Vrindavan is very important to develop, to actually experience hearing about that Vraja pastimes. We actually cherish that. Like coming back to this mother nature, His Grace Shamanand Krishna Prabhu took us to Sakhigiri Parvat in Barsana. Krishna, that is probably the best place ever in this entire cosmic manifestation. You see Nanda Bhavan from there. You see all three temples of Barsana, where three mukhs of Brahmaji. And he was beautifully mentioning, when Yashoda Maya is serving Krishna, Barsana Vasis are seeing Krishna from there, standing on these mountains. Beautiful peacocks, serene nature, no pollution. So amazing to actually visit such holy places, which enlivens our heart, enchants our heart to actually develop that mood of attachment to Vrajabhumi, develop an attachment to Barsana Dham, develop an attachment to Nandagam. So amazing. I was just sharing, we went to Rupa Goswami's disappearance day. Sorry. Sanatan Goswami's appearance day, sorry. And we were doing Govardhan Parikrama that day. We started at 8:39. The roads were packed. There wasn't even a space to actually put. So much crowd was there, and they were doing Parikrama. Some of them were doing Dandavat Parikrama. Their heart is completely sold out to Vrajabhumi. Right? So when we see, coming back to this verse, when we see how these trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers are blossoming and fructifying just out of love for Krishna. Similar way, without bhakti, our heart is like a desert. Or our heart remains like a desert, maybe some water, some plants here and there, if we do a half-baked devotional service. But when we do devotional service from our heart, then our sand-like heart, our dry heart will become fructified with these plants and flowers, blossoms with bhakti, and then we can offer it to Krishna. That is all I have to say. I'll summarize. We talked about in this verse, though it apparently says out of fear, we covered another, actually the material perspective, real perspective about the fear. From material angle perspective, we talked about Ravana's example. And then we brought in, when we talk about fear, this is out of love. We give an example about Krishna being fearful of Mother Yashoda when he's being chased by her with the stick. Then we started talking about how Krishna is actually, appreciating Mother Nature before delivering Brahmana's wives. And then we read about the verses which are mentioned in the autumn and rainy season in Vrindavan, how everything is so charmed. I remember, this is just last point, sorry. When I went in 2009, 2016 to Vrindavan for Her Grace Nayan Sundari's treatment, we were in some, very far part of Vrindavan. And there were only farms there. There were only peacocks there. It was such a serene environment. There was this cows. There were many cows there actually, but being taken care of. But it was such a serene environment just to be in Vrajabhumi, just experience that. So I'm not asking you to leave Radha Gopi Janavallabh and go there, but at the same time, hanker for something which is so sublime in Vrajabhumi. Experience that even while we are here. We participated in beautiful kirtan yesterday. we continue that. It's a festivity every day in Vrindavan, and we experience the same here. So when such occasions come, we should not miss this opportunity to come personally if you can and experience that in person. With that, I would like to end. Please forgive me for my shortcomings. If there are any comments or correction, feel free to chime in. Sadhu, sadhu. Want to add something? My tiny bee compared to what he spoke. Thank you. Any comments online? Okay. No comments. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Yashoda Damodar Bhagwan ki jai. Radha Damodar Bhagwan ki jai. Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank
Thank you.
you.